my 6. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Homesteading Off the Grid, whatever the heck this channel's about. Isn't that a beautiful mimosa tree back there? They bloom. They get these beautiful blossoms in late July. They last through about middle of August. I always like to make sure to get at least one video each year of those on film before they go away. Got a major announcement for you today. Been putting off making it for a while. Wanted to make sure that everything was okay and the time was right. That time has come. Oh, breaking my pear trees, whatever. It's Mother Nature, pruning this tree. It'll grow back thicker and fuller next year. These pears were delicious, though. This is the first year we've gotten fruit off of these trees. Got a lot of it, more than we've been able to eat, and it was delicious. But I also have some really super creepy stories for you, okay? Big announcement, a couple big announcements. And you can see, and listen, if you're new to the channel, you just got to accept the fact that I guess I have ADD. I get distracted. There's a storm coming, so that's why instead of just sitting up in the woods telling these stories like I usually do, I'm walking around, and it's very imperative that you get my 6. Because the last time that we had a thunderstorm come through here just before dark and at dark, which was the night before we actually left on our road trip out to the Grand Canyon of Arizona and a lot of places in between, there was something really creepy out here, and we caught it on camera. If you missed that video, you need to go watch it. So anyway, get my 6, because I'm going to be reading these stories. Thank you, everybody who's been sending these stories in. We've been getting a lot of them. I fully intended to make 2 videos today so I could get caught up on the pile of stories. Doing my best to tell them in order, but some really creepy ones came in this afternoon. I've got to tell first because I've got to get them out of my head. Hey, you guys know autumn olives? Aren't these beautiful bushes? They call them invasive species, but look, they get these little red buds. Some people have said, I think in the comment section, or not buds, but little like berries. People have said that they make jam out of these. I didn't know they were edible. So don't take my word for it, but I know the birds love them. And we planted this thing here when it was a foot tall. We're in a man-made forest. We planted all these trees. All these trees were so small, foot or 2 high, 5-6 years ago when we planted them. And now look at this. Some of these are over 20 feet tall now. Okay, so you know what it's like when you get a song stuck in your head and you just keep singing it. You can't get it out of your head. And even if it's a song you actually like, you get to the point to where it's driving you nuts. Did you know there is actually a way that the psychiatrists and psychologists, yes, I've received a lot of mental health care, as you can tell, and probably need a lot more, figured out I heard a howl. From all the way up there at the campground where we're slowly and methodically making our way. But they know how you can get that song stuck out of your head. You know how you do it? You listen to the song in its entirety. So next time you get a song stuck in your head and it's driving you nuts, just go to YouTube and pull that song up and listen to it. Sing along with it, enjoy it, and it'll get unstuck from your head. So that's why I've got to read this story. It's a really creepy story. But the reason I have not been doing 2 videos a day just yet, like I said I was going to, is because I have spent all freaking day going through what is now the 5th round of drafts for October Nights Part 2, 31 more tales for the Halloween season. This is advice that Stephen King gives in his book On Writing, where he talks about everything he says he knows about the craft. I think he's holding back some secrets, but maybe not, and I'll talk about that in a minute. After I read this creepy story and make the announcement, and then read a couple more creepy stories. He says he goes through 5 drafts of his work before he ever puts it into the hands of his editor. And I follow that advice, and here's why. I want to make sure that what I have written says exactly what I meant it to say, as I meant to say it before I hand it off to the editors. The reason why is because, well, first of all, if you just take the attitude that, well, they'll know what I meant to say, that's lazy, and I'm not lazy, okay? Secondly, if they're not quite sure about what you meant to say and they go with what they think you meant to say, it could completely change the storyline. I've had that happen, and I'm just not willing to let that happen again. I work far too hard. This book has been 2 years in the works, and there's a very special way it was written the first time around. And I'm not going to give anything more away than that at this point. What I will say is this. It's funny, when you write fiction, when you write stories, people that you know always think that you're writing about them. There's always going to be a character that, when your friends read the book or your family members read the book, they're like, he's talking about me. That character's based on me. First of all, no, it's not. Second of all, you'd better hope that, because this time around, that was the case for many of the characters in this book. You'd better hope none of those characters were based upon you. If you see yourself as some of these characters in October Nights Part 2, 31 More Tales for the Halloween Season, you'd better be concerned. And you'll understand why completely by the time the tales are through. Okay? Payback. That's a car. Okay, I'm getting a little antsy. Get my 6. But that's why I didn't make 2 videos today. I am working diligently at going through this 5th round of drafts so I can get it to my Plan B editor, since Truman Jackson's a day drinker and won't sober up enough to do his job. And I'm not letting him destroy this work. So whatever. But another reason I'm walking is because I've been sitting on my butt all day. Well, other than my 5-mile run that I took this morning, doing these edits. So I'll do like a 360 here. Let you see how far we've made it. We made it around the loop of the lower field. So we're getting closer to the campground way up there. We're in the backyard here. Beautiful crepe myrtles have come to bloom really well here. Planted those about 4 years ago. All right, so here's the story that's been stuck in my head since I got it just a few hours ago. And that's why I've kind of put it ahead of some of the others I've already received over the last few days. If you're one of the people that sent those stories, yours is coming. Also, for those of you who have not sent stories but have sent your well wishes and comments about me and my family and the channel, thank you so much. I do appreciate you and what you've said. Really get my 6. Watch back here for movement, and because I'm going to be reading and I'm not going to be able to be looking into the camera. And that's part of my unique field research methods anyway. For everybody who's been following the channel for years, you know how I do things. You know how I roll. So let's roll. Dear Mr. Lake, I want you to have this story to read, change, or publish as you please. All I ask in return is that you either A, change my identity, or B, leave me anonymous, please. I don't want to be subject to involuntary treatment, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Hey, when I was government property in the Army and I didn't have a say in it, I was subjected to a lot of involuntary treatment. More about that in October Nights Part 2 coming up. Whew, man, I wish it was October and I could read you guys these stories. So here we go. We are living with a doppelganger. Now, before I finish, after reading this story, I have reason to believe it's not a doppelganger as much as it might be a rougarou, which some people pronounce lugaroo, a cryptozoological creature out of Cajun folklore down in Louisiana Bayou region. Comes from French heritage. This is also, a lot of people believe, where shapeshifters come from. So I think it's not a doppelganger, but rather a rougarou/lugaroo/shapeshifter. I'll continue the story. We're living with a doppelganger, is what the writer wrote. It calls to us, I just hit a patch of gnats. Gnat, G-N-A-T, silent G. One of the few words in the English language that has a silent G, much like the language Tagalog, my wife's native language there in the Philippines. I was talking to my son about this morning. I think the Spanish who occupied the Philippines, and Tagalog is based in Spanish, rooted in Spanish. I think the Spanish gave these little bugs their name when they settled Florida and occupied Florida around the same time they settled or occupied the Philippines. Just a hypothesis. I need to look that up. He says, no. He says, I think somebody from New York named them. Every time they get one in their eye, they say, not again. Like not again, but with a Long Island accent. My kid, he's smart. Okay. We are living with a doppelganger, I think. It calls to us using the voice of one of our family members from across the house, and it causes a lot of confusion sometimes. It is called to me as one of my children, and to them with my voice, creepy, but not harmful. Sometimes it will follow me looking like one of my kids, only to disappear, or peek out from around the corner at me, which doesn't scare me, until I walk into a different room to see the real kiddo smiling at me gently. That's when I lose my crap. Once while my daughter was taking a shower, and I was in the kitchen fixing some food, she saw and had an entire conversation with this thing. After she was done, she asked me why I changed my shirt. What? I didn't, I said. I just talked to you while I was in the shower. We had a whole conversation. She says, no, we didn't. I was in the kitchen the whole time. We both freaked out about that one. Once, while walking from my daughter's room, I thought she had followed me, a little too close and with this creepy grin on her face. I kept turning around to look at her. Something didn't feel right. I got to the kitchen, and when I turned around again, she wasn't there. Just gone with no sound. Our floor creaks. And when she had just been there a few seconds before. I went back to her room to ask her why she had followed me like that. Too close and with that creepy grin on her face. And when I looked at her, I realized she was wearing a different outfit. Ack! That one scared me. Honestly, Mr. Lake, I'd like to tell you the end of the story. I really would. But there isn't one. Because it hasn't ended. Because the damn thing is still here. I said it first off, we live with this thing. I wish we didn't. That, my friends, is creepy, isn't it? I gotta put this in my pocket for a minute. Ah, not again! Okay, so. All right, announcement time. And I've got a couple more creepy stories for you. Again, we wanted to make sure the time was right before we made this announcement. The time has come. We've been given the go-ahead. So here's the announcement. Have a look. Guys, we have great news. 2 major announcements. Let's start with the first one, which you can clearly see behind me, which is obvious. You ready? Wait for it. Drum roll. Our friend Jenny Joe is pregnant.
Hi guys.
Here's Jenny Joe. Many of you already follow and subscribe and watch Jenny Joe's videos over on her channel. If you don't already, she needs your support and your love now that she is with child. She's got one on the way, so I'm going to put one of her videos where she announces her pregnancy at the end of this one, so you can go start watching her, because guess what? She has not done the reveal yet. We don't even know. So you can find out about the gender when she does drop her gender reveal video at some point in the future, the same time we do, okay? So while I have her, Jenny, how is your pregnancy going so far?
It's pretty easy. I had like a little kind of morning sickness a little bit, but it's not really severe. So I just had a little nausea a little bit in the afternoon and headache, probably because I just dehydrate, but that's pretty much it. Nothing else.
Okay. I know the answer, but a lot of these folks don't. Is this your first baby?
No, it's a second.
What do you have already?
I had a Kian son, and he is, even though I had pregnant with Kian, it's the same thing. I don't have a morning sickness when I had him. So when I had this second baby, it's just a little different because I had this probably because the age is growing too. So yeah, that's pretty much the only difference. It's just little morning sickness, and that's the only difference between my son that is 6 years old now and this coming up baby.
Okay. So the only difference in is a little bit more of morning sickness now, whereas last time you didn't have that.
Yeah, no.
Okay, now I want to ask you a personal question, and then I know you've got things to do today, and I'll fill you all in after this. But shut up. It's Carolina Wren. That one in particular loves attention. As you know, if you follow the channel, I'm huge on fitness. I don't know if you knew this. About Jenny's pretty big on fitness too. She works out. She trains a lot. Jenny, when you were pregnant the first time with Kian, were you as active then as you were before getting pregnant this time?
Yeah. I had more active than Kian because I was working before, like months. I think I stopped working when I was pregnant with Kian. It's like 5 months. So I still working, walked a lot. And then when I stopped doing maternity leaves, I did the just still walking, squat, just do a little cardio just to make fit. And it's more easy to give birth and you don't have any complications because when you're like kind of fitting, fit with your body is already getting used to it and pushing the baby out, squattings, and you know, those things. Your breathing is constantly good, so that's really good. And then now with my second baby, I'm still active, but not active as like I had my first baby. So it's the same thing. It's just still a little workout, squats more, and like pretty much working out in the house. It's just like a little yoga, pregnant yoga kind of workout. So that's more like, I think more active but a little gentle in this second pregnancy than the first one I had.
Okay, so despite being pregnant, you're still staying active, staying healthy, which I'm sure benefits the baby and yourself. So, all right, congratulations again, Jenny.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And everybody, go subscribe to Jenny Jo's channel, watch her videos, support her. Her husband is a multiple combat tour of duty United States Army veteran, still serving our country in a capacity in which I cannot tell you, not because I would have to kill you, he would. So anyway, all right, Jenny Jo, thanks everybody.
Thank you so much, guys, and see you soon. And gender reveal coming up.
What's the name of your channel?
Jenny Jo. My name, sorry, my channel name is Jenny Jo, JENNY and JO. So that would be easy to look at it. So
yeah, we'll put the link in here. So go to her channel and get ready for the gender reveal.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yep. Isn't that wonderful news? Isn't that wonderful news? And you know, the other announcement, I got caught up in talking to Jenny Jo there about her pregnancy. I was holding up my virus test there. Got to be careful saying the word on social media because it's okay to say it in certain ways one day, but then the next they determine it's not, and they go back and cancel you or whatever. We've tested negative. Me and my son had it. Dearly never had it, but she tested as well before Jenny Jo came, and she tested negative as well. I can't see it. I might have gotten there. It is. So, see, Jenny Jo was coming, and we wanted to test because we knew she was pregnant, and she knew we had it. And she's like, I want you guys to test too. So we tested negative because we didn't want to pass this thing on to a pregnant woman. So all worked out. That's what that little thing was I was holding up there at the beginning. So again, and I will put the video, a video maybe, or the one where she announces her pregnancy on the end of this video. So if you don't already subscribe to Jenny Jo and follow her channel, consider doing it. Go over there and subscribe. She's a sweet girl, and her husband is one of my best friends. Again, like I said in that video, multiple tours of combat and the war on terror. Great guy, still serving the U.S., keeping us safe today in a true capacity that I can't really say. He'd probably kill me too if I told you. He'd kill us all. No, maybe, I don't know. All right, so this other story is kind of short, and I'm going to read it to you as I make my way into the woods here and read you the final story. For today, and again, tomorrow, I really need to get out here and do 2 a day because these stories are piling up. But here we go. This one comes from Donnie Beasley. He didn't say anything about keeping his name anonymous or out of the story. So Donnie Beasley says, "Hey Kevin, I've been a lifelong bow hunter and have been in many parts of the Southeast doing so. I've had a few strange experiences in the woods, but would always discredit them until 2005, one October. Favorite month of the year. One October day in Green Swamp, Florida. I was still hunting a new section along the Withlacoochee River and came upon a beautiful spot, so I decided to sit for a while. About 5 minutes after being there, I heard a loud whack, and then a pig started squealing to his death. When it got silent, I decided to make a deer call, and what came back sounded like a gorilla. It was a loud, menacing scream. I didn't run, but I moved pretty swiftly back to my truck, which was about a mile away. You know what that sounds like to me? It sounds like one of these things that may or may not be living in our woods out here. May have been out there doing some pig hunting himself, or herself, or itself, or themselves, if it was more than one. All right, so here we are. We made it to the woods. So I'm going to sit down here, and I'm going to tell you another story, okay? Another story, and again, the submitter of this story is asked to remain. Oh, yep. I saw that movement. Keep your eyes on that movement, where that movement came from right there. Listen for knocks, strange things. We've heard music. We've heard car horns blaring, and there's no cars anywhere around here. Voices. Anything can happen. I'm telling you, folks, the veil is growing thin. We're getting ever closer to October. As you saw, we just came out of the field into the forest. We're on top of a hill, and there's rain moving in. Get my 6 as I read the story, okay? I heard a tree knock, and now I hear voices. This is a UFO story, by the way. You ready? Keep watching. UFOs, I've seen many, but this is the best one. I heard another tree knock. Rewind and listen if you missed it. I like to stand on my porch and gaze at the stars. I love nature and feel drawn to it. One night I was stargazing, looking out over my neighbor's property when I noticed a bright whitish light. Nothing too unusual about that. They have a floodlight on their outbuilding. But then the light, rose above the building and I noticed the red blinking lights. Must be another airplane, I say to myself. I'm so tired of everything in the sky being called airplanes. This airplane, and she puts it in quotes, or he, hovered for a few moments, rising slowly, gently, wobbling a little as it did so. Then it started moving toward me slowly until it was so close it had moved around my next door neighbor's tree. That's when the humming started. You know the sound, that sort of whoomp, whoomp, whoomp. I know it. Noise they make. Then it got even closer, hovering maybe 15 feet above the ground and maybe 20 to 25 feet away from me. I'm getting chills. It stayed there for a few moments, long enough for me to wonder if it could see me. I was starting to feel warm as I observed every detail of this thing. I wondered if the warmth was from the UFO or just a warm breeze. Then it got even closer. I wasn't imagining the warmth. It was hot, and it crept even closer, and I got the definite feeling I was being watched, enough that it felt ominous, like it had some intent for me. It was the first and only time I've ever been scared of one. They don't normally get that close. I was scared enough that I backed up with my hand on the doorknob. If you want to say hi, that's fine, but please don't abduct me, I said. I was afraid it might. I'd never had one get that close. How close? I swear, Mr. Lake, I easily could have hit the damn thing with a rock if I'd had one in my hand. I'm not lying. I have no reason to. After a bit, of it staring me down, it backed up, rose, hovered a moment or two more, and then went off, changing direction as it did so until it flew out of sight. Honestly, I was just glad to have my feet still on the ground. If you want to know what it looked like, it was blue and round, sort of dome-shaped. The underneath part was silver/metallic and spinning slowly with white strips of light showing between the panels. On the backside, it had a fin like a 50s car. It even had 3 red taillights. And on top, it had a smaller whitish-yellowish dome, much smaller than the body, about the right size to be a cockpit, maybe. Wow. 3 really amazing stories there. One about potentially a Bigfoot Sasquatch in the swamps of Florida. One about what she calls a doppelganger, but I believe to be probably either a Lugaroo/Rougarou or a shapeshifter or skinwalker. And one about a UFO. Folks, if you have a story that you want shared, like some of the people here, if you want to keep your name out of it, if you want your story to be told anonymously, I'll do that. But if you don't mind sharing your name, I'll do that as well. If you want the credit for your story, not a problem. Just make sure you give me permission to tell it. Email me. We now have an email at this channel. It's crazylake@mail.com. It's really simple. crazylake@mail.com. Not Gmail, not Yahoo Mail, none of that. Just at mail. crazylake@mail.com. Now, I'm going to, just because I said I would, and I know you're thinking, man, how does this guy do it? He is so ADD. He'll talk about 20 things in the first 2 minutes because he's got so much to talk about, and he always comes back and ties up any loose ends. It's about Stephen King's secret of what he knows about the craft of writing. I do believe he did disclose everything in that book, that I've read several times, by the way, that he does know. If you want to know about writing, don't ask me. Read a book called On Writing by Stephen King. That's what I tell people when they do ask, because that's what I used. I used that as like my holy grail of writing, and I implemented what he says in there, and it really changed my writing career. It actually gave me one. But I was talking to Travis Daigle just the other day on the phone, and thank you if you've gone over and subscribed to his channel, Fighting Past 40. If you haven't, go do it. It's very motivational. We were talking about how people will often ask us, how did you get to where you are? With me, it's with social media, and with writing, and with him, it's fitness. He's a like a fitness instructor, fitness coach, life coach. And he, if you don't know his story, was obese as a child. When he was a teenager, he weighed over 300 pounds. He transformed from that to actually becoming a U.S. Army Green Beret. I met him down at Fort Benning, Georgia, when we were in training, basic training, AIT, and airborne school. He's a mountain. He's rock solid. And people always ask him, what's your secret when he's coaching them? And he says there's no secret. It's all about fitness and diet and exercise. You just got to do it consistently, regularly. And he says they always look at him like he's lying. And I said, I know, I get that too. They're like, okay, I've tried to start a YouTube channel. I've made, a couple dozen videos or maybe 50 videos, and I only got 20 subscribers or I only got 800 views. What's the secret? Do you pay for advertising? No, I have never paid for advertising, and I never will. I don't need to. Number 2, did you know somebody that helped give you a leg up? Like we did Travis and like we've done Jenny Joe? No. I did the work. I knew what was required, and I just didn't stop. When I made it to 50 videos and wasn't there, I kept going. When I hit 100 and it wasn't there, I kept going. When I hit 200 and wasn't there, I just kept going. And eventually the work paid off. Just like Travis going from the 300-pound obese kid that was always bullied in school to being a true American hero fighting in Iraq as a U.S. Army Green Beret. And that's why I say I do believe Stephen King did disclose every secret he knows in his book on writing. There really is no secret. There's work. There's effort. There's commitment. There's consistency. And there's persistence. If you take all those things, bundle them up, and live them daily, you can succeed in anything you want to succeed at. So there's your little bit of wisdom for the day. Thanks for being here with us. Send me your stories, crazylake@mail.com. See you for more next time.